The
Yes, please.
Petroleum Industry Act was signed into law July 1st, 2021. And that PIB seeks to provide legal governance, regulatory, and fiscal framework for Nigerian petroleum industries. Now, popular or the most important in that act is the protection of the interest of host communities. I want you to speak to government's responsibility at making that bill work when in terms of protecting the host communities. Of course, you know the host communities now are agitated, demoralized. They sing songs of marginalization. Before the bill was signed, there was an argument between 3% and 5% and all that. I want you to speak to it, moving forward with this administration and how relationships ought to be.
Okay. Primarily, the PIA it's actually an act, not a bill. So when it
Yes,
is
an
before
act.
the is a bill. When it is passed into law, it becomes an act.
Yeah.
Now, is a law, and like any other law, what they basically do is that they provide framework for which people will organize themselves. The PIA is not a magic bullet. It's not going to solve every problem, contrary to popular perception. But it is going to create a platform, an environment for which everybody will be able to work better. So prior to the PIA, the laws that were in the petroleum sector had been there since the 50s. So as per the host community, I don't know whether they had been agitated. I don't know if obviously there are talks of agitation in the media, but there are also significant amount of money that has gotten in there. That's the political side of it.
Okay.
The fact remains that the under the law, the money that used to go directly to chiefs and certain leaders among the host communities no longer goes to them. It's going to be hosted by a fund management community, which is going to be made up of certain stakeholders. And those things, to the best of my understanding, have been set up by the regulator. So under the law, the system has changed. It's not NNPC that is now responsible. It's the regulator, which in this case is NUPRC, the Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission.
Okay.
And, basically that is the situation they are in as of today. That's my understanding of what's happening there.
Okay. But you said something very critical now. Comrade Austin, I'll come to you. Let me finish with Mr. Body. You said something very critical now, that you do not know if host communities feel marginalized or agitated. I think a lot of people will argue that with you. There's been laws. Now, this PIA has tried to make it broader and more structured. Now, the question is, what roles, what technical roles? Yes, we know there are laws. There are a lot of laws that we have that even the presidency or the government doesn't even have the willpower to follow suit, because the buck stops at the table of government. What would be your advice on managing host communities vis-a-vis spillages, marginalizations, percentages accrued to host communities? That was the question. Yes, I understand there is a law, but I want you to advise government, this administration.
So this is the thing. In a functional society or in a normal society, when laws are broken, there are law enforcement organs that are supposed to enforce the law. And if for any reason the law enforcement organs are not doing their work, there are critical aspects of society, such as NGOs and all that, who are supposed to put pressure on the respective organs of government to ensure that the system works. A functional society is a system. It is not a one-man thing. So it's the difference between a one-man business and a growing concern. So there is the thinking, there's this unitary thinking within the Nigerian public where everything lies at the bulk of the president. Technically, in terms of responsibility, you can say so, but it is not exactly true. Because the president is not going to do the work of the police for him. The president is not going to do the work of the judiciary. The president is not going to do the work of the legislature.
That's correct.
So, yes. So, even if technically he's responsible, the people who are, once a law has come to place and people violate the laws, the people who feel violated have a right to approach the courts. They have a right to engage the police. They have a right to engage the military and all those whose responsibility is to ensure that the law functions. However, if we deflect responsibility away from these people and we ensure